Hello beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be trying some new products and showing you a fall tutorial on a cool toned eyeshadow look. So I went to Target the other day, of course, I was back there, and I decided to wander over into the beautiful makeup section there. And of course, I came across some things that A, I hadn't tried and had been interested in trying, and B, had tried a long time ago, but wanted to try again because I still hear really good things about them, and I wanted to see if they would work for me. I have a primer, a foundation, and a concealer to try, as well as my idea for today is to show you guys some kind of cool toned eyeshadow look that you can use for fall. I know that a lot of fall looks tend to look very warm, and some people it just doesn't work for their skin tone. So I figured I'd give you guys the option of trying a cool toned eyeshadow look for fall. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. I believe this was $8, and it says it's cruelty-free and vegan, which is cool. It says, this perfecting putty primer smooths the skin and preps it with squalane to help moisturize and grip makeup for all-day wear. And as well, it's supposed to create a poreless effect. So that's what I'm looking for in any primer that I use. The reason I wanted to try a new primer is because I've been finding that the Boscia one that I had been using, I used it in a discount makeup video a while back, has not been working for my skin as well lately because it's starting to get cooler. My skin is starting to get a little bit drier. I don't need as much oil control. And so I wanted to try a new primer for the new season. So this is what the packaging looks like. I think it's really pretty. It's very kind of clean looking, which I like. And I'm going to open it up. Okay, it looks like this. So you have to go in with your finger, of course, it's a pot. So I'm just gonna go in with my fourth finger. I'm gonna take a little bit from the top and I'm just going to apply this everywhere. Right off the bat, it feels really, really smoothing, which I love. But it doesn't feel so smoothing. I know a lot of these silicone primers can feel so smoothing that you almost, it feels like your makeup is going to slide off it. This feels a little bit, I'm not gonna say tacky. It doesn't feel tacky, but it does feel a little bit less slippy than a lot of silicone pore refining primers. So I'm making an effort not to go in with too much product. I know it's like an easy thing to want to use a lot of product as a primer, but if you put too much on, then the foundation isn't adhering to your skin at all. There's just a very heavy layer of primer, and I don't really like the way that looks or feels. So I'm just trying to apply kind of a thin layer all over the skin. So just pulling out my mirror here and looking at my skin, it really does look a little bit smoother. I can see it through the cheeks, and it just kind of looks like my whole face has like this little airbrushed, sorry, there was something on my face, a little airbrushed look, which I think is really cool. So I am going to try now the next thing, which is the Dream Urban Cover Maybelline New York Full Coverage Protective Makeup with Sunscreen. So it has broad spectrum 50, which I think is really cool for every day. You really want to use a good sunscreen on your face during the day because you're out in the sun. Even if you're in your office, it's just always good to be really protected on the skin on your face because that's going to be the thing that makes you look older faster. So that was really cool. And apparently it has an antioxidant enriched pollution protection. I don't know what that means, but sounds great. I like the idea of it. So I went with 110 Porcelain. I think that's like the second lightest shade, just because I'm a little bit more warm tone than cool tone, and the first shade tends to be pinker than yellow. So I'm going to see if this is the right color for me. Hopefully it is. Oh, okay. So the first thing you'll notice is that it has this kind of squeezy tube, which I like. It means you're not going to get so much product, and it also means that the tip doesn't get as dirty, which I appreciate. This may be too light for me. It's much lighter out of the bottle than it is in the bottle. At least it kind of looks that way to me. But the first thing I did notice when I squeezed it out is I got some oil. So you're going to probably want to shake this before you use it the first couple times. And now I'm going to just dot it over my face. Probably dip in with my sponge on my hand and start applying. It's like a little bit light for me, but my skin on my face is a little bit darker than the skin on my neck. So I try to match my neck because you don't want the mask of makeup to appear. You can see, like, on the side, it looks like this is all the right skin tone, whereas on this side, it starts to get darker as you come up my neck. That's my face. That's just my skin tone of my face. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that the sponge is absorbing a lot of the product, which is not my favorite. And it says that this is a full coverage foundation. As of right now, it doesn't look full coverage to me because so much of it is getting absorbed by the sponge. Now, I'm using a sponge because lately I've been trying to get more into using a brush, and it just doesn't really work for my skin. I find that when I use a brush, even if I'm using my favorite foundation, I end up getting a lot more foundation in my small lines and creases and in my smile lines, and I just think it's not really worth that. So I'd rather use a sponge that absorbs some product than use a brush that just leaves so much product on my face that I actually end up looking worse by the end of the day. First impression, it's very light coverage actually. But again, that might be me using this sponge. So I want to use another layer. I didn't go in with a heavy layer, so that also might be part of it. I want to see how this layers on top of itself. But as far as the primer seems to have like made it go on my face really, really smoothly. I do see that this is getting in the lines on my forehead almost immediately. So I'm just gonna tap that out a little bit. That could be the foundation or the primer. I don't know which. So let's go in with another layer. You know, I have scarring over here, so it's not covering the scarring, but it is more full coverage for sure. I really like the finish of this. I'm surprised because I thought maybe it would feel cakey, and it doesn't. It feels very, very thin on the skin. It feels like I kind of have nothing on, which I like a lot. Yeah, you can even see where I'm applying the second layer. You can see the difference. It's layering really nicely, so that's cool. And I'm just gonna pull it down the neck a little bit just to make sure everything's evened out. I got a little bit lighter than my neck, I will admit that. But you can always fix that with a little bit of bronzer. I really like it. I think it looks really good. I think that the primer did a great job. It looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna move on to the next step, and that is the Maybelline New York 100 Ivory. That's the shade I got. Their Instant Age Rewind Eraser. So I have tried this a long time ago in the past. I tried this, and I liked it at the time, if I remember correctly, but it was super early on in my whole makeup journey, so I can't remember really what I thought. So let's try this again and see what we think. I know this is an old new product, but it's kind of new to me. So it says here that it's an instant coverage for under eye concealing, face shaping, and all over face use. So if this isn't too light, then I'm going to try it on some of these, the packaging, these scars. If it's too light, then I'll go in with a different concealer. First I gotta do the twist up, and it should come out of this sponge here. Okay, so let's go in under the eyes. Oh, a little bit right here, a little bit right here, a little down the nose. Let's see what we think. So I'm gonna blend it out with my little Real Technique sponge, boop, boop, and I'm just going to tap that in and see what we get for coverage. That does look really smooth. I just don't know how much it's actually lightened up my under eyes. So I want to do another layer of this. I really like the consistency of this concealer. It's not heavy. It doesn't feel like it's going into any fine lines, which for me, I have a lot of little lines underneath my eye just because of the shape of my face. And so I need a concealer that's not going to be so thick that it's going to settle in all those fine lines. Yeah, I think that looks really, really good. So I'm going to put some of this, I think it might be too light, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think I'm going to put a little bit of this on my blemish. Well, that's 3 successes in a row. That's cool. The primer, the foundation, and the concealer, I loved all 3, so that's really cool. And now we can move into the tutorial. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Bare Minerals Mineral Veil powder, and I'm just going to go in and set my under eye, set the lines around my mouth, and set some lines on my forehead. And now I'm going to go ahead and set my entire face with the Wet n Wild Pressed Powder in 821E, which is warm light. I'm just going to do my whole face with that just to get a little bit of added coverage for the foundation, even though that really doesn't bother me. I think this looks lovely. It looks like skin, which is the best. I mean, what else could you ask for? The next thing that I'm going to do is go in with some bronzer / contour, and I'm going to contour my cheeks, contour a little bit on my neck, contour my nose. You know the drill. Just give myself a little bit more shape, a little bit more color, because right now we're just a flat canvas. So I'm going to go in with this brush by Morphe. This is the E58, and I'm going to tap off the excess here, and then I'm going to use this like on the angle, tap it in, and then buff it up. Then I'm going to put some around my forehead and down the neck. Next, I'm going to contour my nose with this little fan brush from Real Techniques. Tap off the excess again, go down the side of my nose. This little fan brush makes contouring your nose like the easiest thing ever. I also don't tend to like taking so much time to contour my nose, but really more of it is that I just want to bring a little bit of color to the middle of the face. And if you don't contour your nose, then you can kind of just take a brush with bronzer and brush it along the bridge of your nose. But I don't really like doing that as much because it makes things look a little bit more muddy, a little bit more messy. So if I'm going to contour my nose, which I'm doing, I like a simple, easy process. Next, I'm going to go in with this Wet n Wild Color Icon blush in Mellow Wine. I'm using this very old Real Techniques brush. You can already see it's very faded, and I'm going to tap in there and then hit the tops of the apples of the cheeks just to bring the face up a little bit. You don't really want to put it anything too low because it'll make your cheekbones and your cheeks look like they're sagging, pulling down. So I am hitting a little bit higher on the cheeks. I know I kind of look like a clown right now. My face tends to eat blush, so it will fade down a little bit. Plus, when I have the rest of my makeup on, you want to have a little bit of color on your face. So it looks crazy now, but it'll all work out. Next, I'm going to go into the Lou Manizer, and I'm just going to take this Morphe M501 brush. I hope all these Morphe brushes still exist. They existed back in the day. And I'm going to hit the tops of the cheekbone. Go a little bit down the nose, a little bit on the upper lip, and maybe even a little bit on the forehead. I don't know, I'm feeling fancy. So now we're gonna move on to the eyes, and I'm gonna zoom you guys in. Hello, and welcome to my TED Talk. Okay, so we're going to hop into one of my favorite palettes. This is the ColourPop Fame Shadow Palette. Looks like this. And it has so many good cool tone shades that really just go with so many different looks and outfits. I just love this palette. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go in with this neutral shade that's called Center Stage. I'm just going to go in on a big fluffy brush and just set down, take your finger, work out any creases if there are any creases in your concealer. And I'm just going to set that down very quickly. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, get that out of the way. The next thing that I'm going to do is tap into Delirium, which is just a little bit darker than Center Stage. And again, just do the same thing. And we're just kind of creating a base for all of the colors we're gonna do. We really want it to look blended. So I like to use a bunch of different shades. It's not super necessary. It just kind of adds dimension to your look. Now I'm going to take a smaller fluffy brush and I'm going to go into Clubhouse, which is this cool toned matte shade. It's kind of a mid-toned matte brown. I'm going to hit the outer corner, and I'm doing this messily, just bringing it in windshield wiper motions and then circular motions on the outer edge, just to give that color to the eye. And you can see it's a cool toned brown, but it's not so cool tone that it's, you know, silver or gray. It's got a little bit of brown in it, so it really does look just the right color on the eye. And now I'm going to go in just with the tip of my finger. I'm going to go into this color here. It's called Debutante, and it's a cool toned shimmery shadow. This is a very easy look, by the way, just to get that out of the way. And I'm going to tap that on the inner corner of the lid and drag it out to the outer corner. Now I'm just going to take a small flat brush and I'm going to take that Clubhouse color again on my lower lash line. So here's the part of the look that's going to make it look special and unique and a little bit different. I'm going to tap into Lifestyle, which is this kind of dark brown purple shade, and I'm going to take it on an angled brush, tap off the excess, make sure to tap off the excess, and I'm going to put this on the eye as a liner, and then we're going to do a very soft wing. So because we're doing it with shadow, it's not going to be a really intense hard line. It's going to be more buffed out. So I'm just going to take this and drag it up a little bit, and you can see kind of get a little bit of a wing without it actually being a wing. And so you can see the difference here. You've got a lot more intensity on the eye on this side, and this one is still pretty, but it's a little bit less intense. It has a little bit less character. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is just take the color Extravaganza here, and I'm going to put that on a little pencil brush, pop that in the inner corners just for that little highlight, and then a little bit underneath the brow bone. Just like that. Just like that. And we're done with the shadow. So now all I have to do is curl my lashes and put on my mascara. And now I'm just going to put on my lipstick. So I am using the Jordana Sweet Cream Matte Liquid Lip Color. I don't remember if this is patchy, so we're gonna try it and see. And you can see that this lip color really just finishes off the look. It's the color that you need to keep the cool toned look going, and I really, really like it. Plus, this isn't patchy. This is a great, great lipstick. I don't know why more people don't talk about this. It's 22 Cinnamon Toast is the shade, and that's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and my blog if you haven't already. Head over to Instagram and Twitter and follow me there, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!